Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is a bloody good race. Probably the most fun I've had to this point on iRacing. It's the Indycar official series, 125 laps, open setup, starting in P6. Don't worry about the overlay, that'll update as we cross the start-finish line. Right then, pace car's about to pull off and we'll be underway. And if you're preparing for any 200 lap, 500 mile race at Indy, this race is a great one to see how strategies play out over the long term, to see how the race ebbs and flows over a long distance, and to get some sense of an idea of the kind of strategies that you might see. It's a good sensible start, which is really important in a long race like this. There's a bit of jostling for position going on up the backstretch as people look to improve their positions a little, but no one's three-widing, no one's going to throw it massively up the inside, no one's trying to win it on the first lap of the race. Strategy here for me is very simple: hold position, take any opportunities I can get to move forward, don't force anything, wait for any cautions to happen, and then see where we are once we get to green flag pit stops. Now as we go through the race, keep your eye on the following drivers, see how they get on, see where they're starting from, see where they finish up. First in P1 and P2, number 25 Northern and number 15 David. Then directly behind me in the dark car, number 13 Olivia. And further down the field, 13th, 14th and 15th, number 1 John, number 7 Brandon and number 5 Aidan. Whipping it forward now to lap 6. Here's an example of the sort of thing I'm talking about. Opportunities will naturally in this race come to you. You don't have to force anything. Here's Laura Gerhardt looking for an overtake on the car in front in the green Starbucks machine. She can't get it done. She's got a bad exit. And now I'm thinking, here's a chance if I can get a run on her up the back stretch, I might be able to take that position. Get the run, pull to the outside, but now, the trouble with passing in Indy in a sensible race is that there's no draft on the inside. We just have to fall back, she gives us space in case we dive bomb, I drop back in, wait for the next opportunity. Keep it simple, keep it sensible. Lap 10, backstretch again, got a run on Laura again, let's see how it's going to go. This time we've got more of an overspeed and a better run, we're alongside going into the turn. However, I'm turning directly into the dirty air of the car in front. I've got to lift, and Laura decides, you know what, I don't want to give this position up that easily. She's having it round the outside. I have to drop back once more into a line that has no draft. And my concern now, which I just about managed to do, is to drop back in front of Olivia and prevent myself losing a position. Lap 13 now, is third time going to be the charm. Looking to get that really good run out of 1 and 2. Remember, you don't just have to get a run, you have to get a run that's good enough to be able to overcome the speed of a car which itself is going to have a good 2 or 3 cars worth of draft. Huge closing speed, pull out at just the right time. Up the inside again. And this time Laura lets it happen. Lap 17 now, keep your eye on the red 3 car. It's just getting into the middle of the run, tyres starting to go off a bit, hot track, 42 degrees, that temperature's only going to go up. The 3 car really thinking he wants to get a move on, but he drops it. Those tyres just catching him out, collects another car. Everyone else gets through safely. There's the first caution of the race. Less than half a tank of fuel remaining for everyone. This strategy decision is pretty much a no-brainer. Everyone into the pits and they are a hive of activity. David's pushing to exit the pit lane before I get out and before Olivia gets out, and he's gone out backwards. Surely that's curtains. But if we look at the freeze frame, we can see that his arse end has just exited the pits before my nose, and iRacing lets him keep the position. So as I come round to take the restart, pretty much all the drivers to watch are more or less in the same positions they were, except for number 5 Aidan, who's dropped to 22nd and last with 3 retirements. I've been struggling with restarts at Indy, and it's another poor one as I nearly get run over from behind. Fortunately the 16 pulls out of the move and we all continue. Everyone then settles down and gets back to work, and then the 2 car now decides that he wants to move forward. Looking back at him in the blue and silver car, he's going to yeet it round the outside. I see it coming. I'm okay then, if you want to yeet it round the outside, your tyres will go off first, you have the position. A couple of laps later, the 2 is still trying to aggressively move forward, but here he's compromised his exit. I'm able to get a really good run on him up the front stretch. Onto the inside, he's going to let it happen. All very nice and well mannered, back into 5th place. A few laps later, this is really easy to do when the track temperatures are hot. Just tried to carry a bit too much speed and look out! Definitely a yellow flag there. And as we paced round, I looked at how few laps we'd had since the last caution, and I thought, okay, time to take a risk. I'm only taking fuel, no tyres, short pit stop, have to get this exit right. Laura and Richard going another way on strategy as David once again just beats us out of the pit lane. And then looking down the order, we can see that Olivia has fallen down to 10th or a net P8. Number 7 Brandon still 13th. Number 1 John now down to 17th, and number 5 Aiden up to 18th. Big bit of opportunism now on lap 37. I know I've got to run. I see David pulling out and I go, you know what? I'm following you. He hammers past Laura. I shoot through into 3rd. One more position in the bank. Soon after that, another one-car accident brings out the yellow flag, and we're going to have a key moment in the race as the field splits on strategy. Now, right up to the last moment, I was debating whether to come in and change tyres. In the end, I decided it was just too soon after having taken the risk to get track position to give it back again so soon. Olivia in 10th is the last car to stay out. Brandon, John and Aiden are all in the pits going on the opposite strategy. Very interesting restart now. Usually in IndyCar you want to start up against the outside wall to prevent anyone jumping you around the outside on the restart, but here the leader David decides to dare everyone to come inside and risk it to get the draft. He's right, Laura decides to stay on the outside wall and he's able to get a really good jump, one that's worth trying maybe in your races. Now I know that Laura's lacking draft, I'm after her, I've got a really good exit out of 2, time to send it. But again, watch the line that David's going to take into the corner. I can see him, I know I'm driving into a zone of no air, I just have to lift that little bit more, and again that helps Laura hang it round the outside and keep that position. However, not too long after that, Laura settles into the lead with David behind. I can see they're both saving fuel. I get a big run and I decide I'm gonna go for it. Huge overspeed, definitely on, lots of space given, right up the inside, and I'm to the lead of the race. Now if you're going to make this work, you have to be certain that both cars in front of you are going to be slow. You also have to be certain that both cars are going to be nice and polite and not squeeze you. Not too long after that, another single car crash, another caution, and the strategy starts to change again. It's obvious what I'm going to do and what all the people in my group are going to do, I think, but a couple of them choose to stay out. And then a couple of the people who've only been out for 8 laps decide to come in. So when it all shakes out, we've got 25 North and P2. We've got Brandon, John and Aiden jumping up to 5th, 6th and 7th. I'm 9th. David is 10th as I finally beat him out the pits. And Olivia's still there in 13th. To the blimp cam now, just after the restart. I've had another bad one. David's going to get an overspeed. He knows that I'm fallen back from P8. He's going to send it. But he's not going to send it up the inside. He waits. And he's going to hang it round the outside, catches me by surprise. I almost ride up into him, but realise he's there, and he's got back past me after I sent it on him earlier. Not too long after that, David sends it again, right up the inside of number 19, who falls right back and out of the running not too long after this. Not too long after, Aiden gets stacked up behind David. He's going to be very slow through 1. I can't react in time. iRacing registers contact. I'm sure I've lost my front wing, but no damage. And then just after that, my second huge piece of luck. Low on fuel, the green Starbucks machine is falling back. I think it's vulnerable, and as I go to set up a pass, Laura accidentally manages to switch her engine off. Contact again, and again, amazingly, I get away without damage. No question about it, you definitely need a bit of luck in these long races. Now this is an important moment on lap 68, just before half distance. The 11 car stops and we have our first green flag pit stop of the race. This is when it's going to really come alive and the different strategies are going to play out. Looking at the standings, number 7 Brandon has come up to 2nd, 25 Northam in 3rd, 15 David in 4th, 1 John in 6th, myself in 7th and Olivia in 12th. On to lap 77 now. David's already made his pit stop, and now in come Brandon and John from 1st and 2nd. I go back to the lead of the race, Olivia being promoted up to 4th. And now I've got a really important decision to make about how far I try to overcut the cars who have already stopped. Lap 80, and I'm really happy to see that Olivia, who's on the same strategy as me, feels that she has to pit first. And now it's my turn. Both the cars who were close behind have pitted with me. Don't quite stop perfectly, that'll delay the stop a little. Full tank of fuel, fresh set of boots. And as we pull away, look behind me. Someone spins it, loses a nose cone, he's out. I've got no time to think about that. This pit exit needs to be a good one if I'm not going to lose the draft of the main pack. Here they come. I'm trying to find the balance between maximising the pit exit and not losing it. I know I can't afford to lose the pack in front, but I also know that it would be catastrophic if I drop it. Back out I come, just close enough to John to pick up his draft, and also dropping neatly into a gap so that Olivia's going to pick up the draft from me behind. So as I get to work on trying to pass John, let's have a look at the standings again. All the drivers that I mentioned earlier, we've now all clustered near the top of the standings. This just goes to show that in a long race, you definitely can win from the middle of the pack, the back of the pack, or the front of the pack. If you can qualify well at Indianapolis, yes, you'll have a better chance of winning, but if you get the strategy right, there's no reason why you can't come up from behind. First bad decision. I've got this run all wrong. I throw it up the inside anyway, I screw up the exit, and I'm really lucky not to take John out. Deep breath as I overlay glitches for a moment as we all come through, and I try and build that run again on John. We're up the front stretch this time. Going for the inside again. Better overspeed. But just can't hold it in the dirty air. Go to set the run up again through 2. I mess up the high line. Into the wall. Again, extremely lucky that there's no damage. Northern now making his stop on lap 97 as I've had to fall back behind Sylvan after my wall ride. Big puff of smoke, but he just gets it stopped in time to avoid a penalty. Lap 98, I've pulled myself back together, I've got fresher tyres, and I get myself back round Sylvan. 24 laps to go. Number 7 Brandon's already stopped, and number 1 John now makes his final stop. Lap 102 now, and we're going to re-inherit the lead as it's David's turn to get into the pit lane. 6 seconds ahead of us, he looks to be in a really strong position. Again, a little bit wiggly on entry, but he's got it stopped, and then in the box. Out he comes. And it's happened again! And this time there's going to be no caution to save him. He's lost his front wing, and with it, any chance of contending for the leading positions, he'll be a lap down. Lap 106 now. I want to get the right balance between taking enough fuel to get me to the end and timing it so that the amount of time it will take to put the fuel in is about the amount of time it will take to change tyres and be as efficient as possible in the pit lane. The other consideration, the longer I can go, the more tyre advantage I can get, the easier it will be to come up behind and pass people or hold my own position from people on more warm tyres. Braking as late as possible, turning into the box, looking to park perfectly on this slidey pit lane. That's pretty good. Fuel hose is out. Wheels and tyres are changed. Off I go again. And I know that I have to maximise pit exit as much as possible to lose as little time as possible. John zips past me. I'm going to have to catch and pass him. Olivia's coming up hard from behind. And yes, you are allowed to use the short chute like this to widen the final turn before you get back on the course. And that's a slightly worrying result. I'm out of John's draft and Olivia's in mine. Lap 111, and I do owe a debt of gratitude to David, who's helped swap draft me, and he's kept me from losing touch with John up ahead. However, 4-second gap, things aren't looking so good. Up ahead of us, still lap 112, John and Aiden are starting to fight. They're all together with Northern. This is going to be the battle for the lead. Northern, Brandon, Aiden and John. John trying to build the run. Down the back stretch they come together. Lap 118 now, 7 to go. On board with John. Through 1. Into 2, looking to build that run. Caught out by the tyres possibly. And he's into the wall. And unlike me, he's now got damage. And I'm just going to start eating him up from behind. When the track temperature's this hot, about halfway through your tyre run, you will feel the rear tyres start to overheat. The car will get loose and slidey. You need to be ready for it and be ready to correct it with your driving style and your in-car tools. It's something that can catch anyone out. And unfortunately for him, John knows that there's no hope in being able to hold me off. So here we are, a podium tantalisingly close, but I've got 3 seconds to make up and Aiden's got draft. Lap 123 now. Brandon in the lead is just starting to ease away from Norton. Norton in turn just starting to ease away from Aiden, and I'm trying desperately to chase Aiden down without putting it in the wall. .8 seconds as we come round onto the back stretch on the last lap but one. On board now with Aiden as he's chasing Norton and being chased by me. And it's back to my onboard as the white flag flies. And how many times have we heard it before? Oh, if I'd had 1 lap more, if I'd had 2 laps more, if I'd had 5 laps more. But I didn't. But now imagine if this race had been 200 laps long, how might the strategy have played out then? So it's Brandon all the way from P13 who takes the win, Norton P2 from the front row of the grid, Aiden P3 from way down there. I come home just outside the podium from 6th on the grid, John with 5th from way back, Olivia with 6th from just behind me on the grid, and David 1 lap down. Well, good luck if you're going to Indy anytime soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. See you around.